Currently, the trending issue is about junior secondary schools. It seems the business people who have invested in such schools are enjoying high profit. What is your take on that?
Yes, that could be true, but you may not know whether it is true unless now you put it to a test. And just like a doctor, a medical doctor for that matter,
Yes.
puts a patient to a test to see whether actually this person is sick or not by taking the temperature and other body parameters
Yes.
to find out whether the person is sick or not. There's a formula that is used to check whether a business is profitable or not.
Okay.
It was invented by Michael Porter.
Yes.
First, you check about the number of similar businesses that are operating in a certain area.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you run a private school,
Yes.
you would be interested to know how many other schools are in your area.
Okay.
Because if the number is high,
Yes.
then it means the competition is very high.
Yes.
And your business may not be profitable at the end of the day. So, number two,
Yes.
we want to find out the number of customers that you have in that area, because the customers have the ability to either make the business to become successful or not. There are some cases that you could be having many schools in such an area, so the number of customers are not many,
Okay.
but the number of schools are many. So in that case, the customer will have high bargaining power. The customer will have a choice to choose which school to go to.
Yes, yes.
Just like now, the way social media have provided the marketers with the many options to market,
yes.
but also the consumers of the products that marketers market have something that we call perfect knowledge. They are able to know at a click of a button how many products are in circulation and how many sellers are out there.
Yes.
So the buyer will have the ability and the knowledge
Yes.
to choose from the best,
Yes.
the best seller.
Yeah.
So customer. The first one was the number of similar businesses in the area. We refer to them as competitors.
Yeah.
Now this other one is customers.
Customers, yeah.
Now the third one that they use to analyze a business whether it is profitable or not
Yes.
is the supplier, the bargaining power of the supplier.
Okay.
And in this case, for a junior secondary school,
Yes.
who is the supplier? The supplier is the person who is providing you with the raw materials for your business.
Okay.
For instance, if you are a manufacturing company,
Yes.
if you are a manufacturing company, you manufacture like coffee.
Yes.
So the coffee farmers are your suppliers.
That is true.
But now in this case, the school, who is the suppliers of teachers?
TSC.
TSC, Teacher Service Commission.
Yes.
So if the supplier is strong,
Yes.
and if the number of suppliers is very low, then the business does not have much bargaining power. Because if the suppliers are many,
Yes.
you can choose to go to this supplier or to this or to this. But in this case,
Yes.
junior secondary schools, they only have one supplier
Yeah.
of teachers. So if TSC as the only supplier, if today TSC says, and actually that's what it has said,
Yes.
that any teacher teaching junior secondary school, he must have a diploma and he must,
Or a degree.
Or a degree.
Yeah.
That's a shocker for primary school investors,
Yes.
because they are used to working and employing teachers who have qualifications for ECD,
Yes.
and teachers who have qualification for P1
Certificates.
and certificates for
Yes.
that matter.
Yes.
Now, the supplier for teachers is saying that you need to hire a
Yes.
teacher who is
Diploma.
either degree qualified or diploma qualified. What does that mean? It will mean that since the number of such teachers is not adequate, the competition and demand for such teachers will rise.
Yes.
And what will happen when demand rises? When the demand for a commodity rises,
Yes, yes.
the price rises.
Yes, yes.
And usually the demand rises because the supply is not
low.
adequate. The supply is low. So junior secondary schools are likely to have a high cost of operation because of the high salaries that will be demanded by
The teachers.
the teachers.
Yeah.
So we have talked about players in the market,
Yes.
other schools,
Yes.
the customers. Then we have talked about the supplier.
Yeah.
Now we talk about the substitutes.
Okay.
Now, junior secondary school, as you have said, it's a trending issue.
Yes.
But in the event that the people who are offering these services, the primary schools,
Yes.
if they decide to say, for instance, I will charge 50,000 per term for the junior secondary students,
Yes.
do you think the parents will have a choice? The parents will have a choice
Yes.
to, or an alternative, or will they just take that price and pay?
I think there will be an alternative.
Which alternative?
For example, public schools, which
Yes,
are free.
yes, public school, which are free.
Yes.
And they are free because also the government has decided
Yes.
to give a subsidy
Yes.
of 15,000 per year
Yes.
to public schools
Yeah.
for each and every student
Yeah.
that is enrolled in those schools.
That is true.
But in the private sector,
Yes.
there's no such subsidy.
Yeah.
So if they put the price high, then the parents who are their customers will have no choice but to go to public school. So
Okay.
the substitute
Yes.
is there.
Okay.
So the other one is the entry barrier.
Yes.
The entry barrier is actually how easy is it for a startup to venture into a certain market? Or how easy for a startup
Yes.
to get customers and to have that business becoming profitable. So in this case, the entry barrier is very high for junior secondary schools. Because for someone who wants to invest in secondary schools, and the ones who have already done that,
Yes.
they have invested heavily in terms of the construction of new buildings.
Yes.
Probably they have borrowed loans, and this loan is generating interest.
Yes. Construction of laboratories.
Construction of laboratories, exactly. And not only construction,
Yes.
but also
Yes.
the purchase of the apparatus.
Apparatus. Yes. Yes.
You'll be very surprised, something like a bullet.
Yeah.
A bullet is very costly.
It is.
It is. A pipette.
Pipette. Yeah.
Any other. They are those for those who did physics or those who do physics.
Yes.
Vernier caliper.
Yes.
Vernier caliper is that tool that is used to measure the size of the diameter of a marble.
Okay.
So, and many other.
Yes.
Even the purchase of those gases,
Yes.
the other elements like nitrogen,
Yeah.
sodium, argon,
Yeah.
it is very expensive.
It is.
So what we call as the entry barrier is very high.
Okay.
So for you to penetrate it, you
Yes.
need to invest heavily.
Heavily.
So it is capital intensive.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So after you analyze all those 5 factors,
Yes.
that's when you'll make a decision whether
Yes.
it is profitable or not profitable.
Okay. 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 How do public schools affect profitability of private schools?
How do public schools affect profitability of private schools?
Yes.
It's a good question because actually it's one of the items that it falls under one of the items that I've just mentioned previously.
Yes.
And that is, you are saying private, public.
Yes.
So public is a substitute to what private is offering.
Yeah.
So if private is expensive, people will go to
Public.
It's like today.
Yes.
If tea becomes expensive,
Yes.
you have another choice. You
Yes.
don't have to drink tea.
Yes. Yes.
You can drink
Cocoa.
cocoa
Yeah.
or coffee.
Yeah.
Just like the way the government currently is insisting.
Yes.
People have been over-reliant
Yes.
on consumption of maize flour.
Yes.
And because of over-reliance on consumption of maize flour, at a time when the supply for maize is very low, then that has made the demand for maize flour
Yes.
to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Now, for the government to put pressure
Yes.
on the price of maize flour, it is now encouraging people to go for substitutes.
Yes.
It is encouraging people to go for yams, go for sweet potatoes,
Yeah.
go for other staple food
Yes.
like rice.
Yeah.
So that when the demand when the demand of these other commodities increase,
Yes.
then the demand for maize flour will go down.
Yeah.
And that means the price for maize flour will also go down.
Go down.
So the same thing,
Yes.
when we have public schools, they act as a substitute
Yes.
to what? To the services being offered by
Private schools.
private schools.
Okay, okay. How do the requirement by TSC to have diploma and degree qualified teachers affect private junior secondary?
Good question, Lucy. TSC in this case
Yes.
is
The supplier.
the supplier and also the regulator. The regulator of education
Yes, yes.
in Kenya, Teacher Service Commission.
Yes.
So all teachers who are required to teach in both private and public schools,
Yes.
they have to be licensed by TSC. A school has no leeway to just hire any other teacher.
Yes.
It has to hire a teacher who is TSC qualified. And now this time round, TSC has given a directive that for any teacher to be qualified to teach in junior secondary school,
Yes.
he or she must be having, as you have said,
Yes.
a diploma or a degree qualification.
Yeah.
These teachers are not many. These teachers are not many. Actually, the kind of teachers that primary schools have been employing are teachers who are ECD qualified
Yes.
and teachers who have PP1. Now, all of a sudden, TSC has come with a requirement that the teachers will be employed are the teachers who have degree or diploma.
Yes.
Again, the supply for such teachers is very low. And the demand, all of a sudden, it has skyrocketed.
Yes,
What will happen? They will demand high salaries.
Yes.
And when they demand high salaries, they will eat into the profitability of the private junior secondary schools.
Ah, okay.
And you will be very surprised.
Yes.
The competitor
Yes.
for private schools is public schools.
Yes.
And public schools, because TSC is again the employer
Yes.
for teachers who teach in public schools,
Yes.
and has a bigger muscle,
Yes.
is a better employer than private schools.
Yeah.
Most teachers are moving away
Yes.
from private schools to
Public schools.
public schools.
Yeah.
So actually now that exacerbate
Yes.
the problems that junior private secondary schools
Yes.
are already experiencing.
Okay, okay. How can a private school offering junior secondary become better than its competitor?
Good question. And that's a good question because unlike the 844 system, whereby a school would just concentrate on academic performance
Yes.
and ensure that if it is a secondary school, it scores high grades
Yes.
in KCSE
Yes, yes.
and pushes many students to university.
Yes.
And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
now that's the school that parents were looking for.
That is true.
But now, in this case,
Yeah.
the system has changed. It is not competition-based,
Yes.
it is competent-based.
Yeah.
So how can a school become better than its competitors? Now, for now,
Yes.
the most suitable way
Yes.
for a school to become better than its competitor is actually to go in an area that is not highly concentrated with schools.
Okay.
An area, after you do a market survey,
Yes.
you realize that school is this area is underserved. Maybe you realize that the nearest school from here
Yes.
is about 5 kilometers.
Yes.
And you would be very surprised that even the government came up with another directive
Yes.
that junior secondary schools should not have a boarding facility.
Yes.
So even if that other school that is 5 kilometers away
Yes.
used to attract learners from this area,
Yes.
now it will stop attracting learners from this area because now the distance has become a concern.
Yes.
Maybe it was attracting learners from this area because it was offering a boarding facility.
Yes, yes.
Now that a boarding has been scrapped off by the government, now take advantage. Go there and be the first person to establish
Yes.
a learning institution.
Yeah.
And always remember,
Yes.
for those who may be planning to start a junior secondary school,
Yes.
it's always better to be fast than to be better.
To be fast. Okay.
It's always better to be fast than to be better.
To be better. So being fast is reaching there as the first person, or?
Yes, as the first person.
Yeah.
Other than going in an area that already is served
Yes.
by another school,
Yeah.
and now you go there and say, I will offer better services, I will reduce the pricing, the school fees, I will be giving discounts. It will be very hard for you to survive there.
Yes.
Because the clients and the customers in that area have already identified themselves with your competitor. So you'll be trying to catch up with your competitor.
Okay.
So the easiest is
Yes.
for you to go in an area where it is underserved and now go and stamp your feet there.
Okay. So the government did not approve all the primary schools that had applied for junior secondary license. How does that affect the schools that were approved?
Yes, there are quite a number of schools that had applied,
Yes.
but eventually
Yes.
they were not approved by the government because the government was looking for the number of classes that you have,
Yes.
whether you have already constructed a laboratory, whether you already have qualified teachers,
Yes.
the quality and quantity of teachers mattered. So some schools were not approved.
Yeah.
However, for the schools that were approved,
Yes.
it's not a bed of roses for them,
Yes.
because some of them, even right now, could be suffering from that anxiety.
Yes.
Because they are wondering, they have borrowed so heavily from the financial institutions,
Yes.
so that they can build these classes, so that they can build laboratory, so that they can equip this laboratory. And now they are scared that if the turn up by new students to their schools is not good, then they may struggle to repay the loans. And the interest rates for loans at the moment is very high because the government has been increasing the interest rates in a way to curb inflation.
Okay.
So the ones who have been approved, it's not a bed of roses.
Yes.
Because again, the fixed cost for running these institutions is very high.
It is very high.
Because you will have a teacher that is asking maybe for 30,000, 40,000,
Yes.
and this teacher is only teaching one class.
Wow.
So for this year, the operations costs are very high.
They are very high.
And but maybe next year,
Yes.
when now we'll have grades 7 and 8,
Yes.
the operating cost will start going down.
Okay.
And by the time we are going to grade 9,
Yes.
now it will be a bit manageable.
Yes.
Because those businesses will start enjoying what we refer to as economies of scale.
Okay. Okay.
Where the fixed cost is there,
Yes.
but now the number of units being produced
Yes.
by the system has increased. So the cost for fixed cost again because of that goes down.
Okay. Okay. Parents are the customers of the school services, while the students are the consumers of the school services. Are parents reacting to the school fees for junior secondaries?
Yes. There's a huge reaction.
Yes.
Actually, at a time like this, when the economy is doing badly, when parents are struggling to feed their children, to pay rent, and they had not planned for that. You know, from even when we are growing up, our parents would prepare adequately or try to prepare adequately for us to join Form 1. But now parents are shocked. They did not expect that the school fees for junior secondary school will be that high. Actually, one of my neighbors has a child who is joining junior secondary school, and I was shocked because he showed me the prices that different schools are charging the school fees.
Yes.
There is one school, the lowest actually was charging 35,000.
Wow.
That 5,000,
Yes.
and with the highest charging 78,000.
Yes, yes.
And when I interrogated further why that cost is so high, he explained to me about the cost of uniform, the cost of buying new textbooks, the cost of even admission fee, something that he had not planned for.
Okay.
So right now, private junior secondary schools might not experience the kind of turn up or enrollment for new students as they had anticipated.
Okay.
Because even them, they are charging their fees very high because some of them needs to get money so that they can repay the loans. And parents don't have this money. So parents are forced to go to public schools. But again, there's a dilemma because a parent who is used to taking their child to private school, all of a sudden is being forced to take the child to a public school, there's a problem because again, you cannot compare the quality of public and private.
That is true. Okay. Dr. Kamau, so what do you conclude? Do you conclude is junior secondary school profitable at the moment or not?
My opinion is that at the moment, it is a no.
It is a no.
It is a no. It is a no because even in terms of numbers, in terms of numbers, we only have one class. One class that is grade 7. And we have a teacher who is being paid maybe 30,000. And not only one teacher. You might be requiring a teacher for biology, for physics, for chemistry, for visual arts. Then we have even for computer science. And these are the teachers that the TSC is saying they must be diploma or degree qualified. In the meantime, also the cost that the schools have incurred in terms of constructing the building, the laboratory. So the numbers are low, but the fixed costs are very high. So for the time being, I don't think junior secondary schools are profitable. But next year, they will start being profitable. And by the time we are going to the third year, that when the pioneers will be in grade 9, definitely it will be profitable. But again, of course, we are likely to see other new entrants. More schools are likely to be registered, and it's a very interesting thing to wait and see and observe.
Okay.
But the bottom line for schools, I think those people who have invested in schools, at times they should not look at school as business. They should look at schools as giving back to the society, empowering the community, because I have huge respect for those people. They are not like the people who open clubs. They are not like the people who sell alcohol to the young generation. So I wish the junior secondary school investors all the best.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.